Hello, and welcome back to another Kenshi video. If you're not aware, I'm currently working on a full conversion of Kenshi into a tabletop RPG, and today I'm going to be telling you about the new updates I've made to the system. There's a lot to cover this time, so let's get right into it. I've reformatted most of the book here. You can see there's a new index. I've made most of the pages better organized, just kind of got things a little nicer looking. One big change, I did decide to get rid of all of the non-canon stuff. I had been thinking about it, and the inclusion of the red Sheks, Palanders, some other non-canon material, even if it's from like very popular mods that a lot of people use, I don't think I'm going to be including that type of thing in the future, just because it's supposed to be true to the world of Kenshi, and adding that extra stuff, I felt it was maybe editorializing a little too much. So that's all gone now. I changed hunger and thirst. I made hunger a little more forgiving, especially when carrying various weight loads, which you can see down here in the carry weight section. The amount of decay is significantly less than it was before, so you won't need as much food for that kind of stuff. I just felt that was a little more accurate to what you would really need for that kind of journey. And I changed a few of the hunger mechanics here. Big one that I changed was thirst, actually. I made thirst a lot more punishing, as I feel it really should be. Kenshi as a base game, for whatever reason, doesn't have a thirst mechanic, which has always kind of baffled me, given like what kind of game it is and the setting. You know, it's this desert that you're trying to trek through, but for some reason there's no thirst mechanic. I think that should be pretty punishing, so I've made it about twice as fast that your thirst will decay from what it was before, and then hivers, I made it actually even more severe. I have an idea that hivers, because they're from Vane, a very wet area, and just from how they look, I get the feeling that they need a lot of moisture and that they don't do very well in dry environments. They kind of look like grubs to me, and I imagine they kind of need moisture. I buffed martial arts a little bit, went from 1d4 to 1d4 plus 2 blunt. I've been going back and forth a lot about how I want martial arts to work. Right now it's pretty much weaker than like any weapon you would use, which makes like logical sense. You know, when you start out with martial arts in the actual game Kenshi, it's pretty weak, and just in real life punching someone is usually far less effective than hitting them with a 8-foot sword. But I do want martial arts to still be a viable thing. For now, I'm going to keep it like it is, but I may be adding techniques later on that you can learn as a martial artist that can help you do like special moves maybe, or something to kind of counteract or, you know, balance the fact that it doesn't do that much damage. So it will have some other kind of perk, but I just haven't added that yet. I've added medical supplies stats, and you can see it's just the basic first aid kit with 150 charges, the standard first aid kit with 400 charges, and the advanced first aid kit with 1,000 charges. And this works just the same as it does in the actual game. You gain Field Medic EXP by analyzing medical equipment or procedures and using first aid kits. Each first aid kit has a certain number of charges. If you're healing bleed, you roll a DC check with your Field Medic skill of 15. And if you succeed, you don't have to use a charge. So you get a free bleed heal, basically. And that's just how it works in the actual game as well. Another new mechanic is weather. Weather is an event which can occur each day in the world of Kenshi. Each day you spend traveling through a zone can result in a weather event, and the DM rolls a d6 every day. The result is 1 through 4. It's a normal day, but if it's 5 or 6, then a weather event occurs. And the possible weathers are rain, acid rain, dust storm, laser, and gas. Those ones are a little unusual. And you check the weather map to see what weather is possible in the zone which you're traveling in, and this can be found at the beginning of the book, and I'll also show it on screen right now so you can see what it looks like. And additionally, regular rain can occur anywhere the groundwater level is 50% or higher. A good rule of thumb for this is if the zone has acid rain, it can probably normal rain as well. Rain can water crops and can be collected for drinking. There's some damage here for if you're under acid rain. There's some stat penalties for being in a dust storm. You have the laser damage, and then there's 2 different types of gas actually in Kenshi. Gas clouds. Not a lot of people know this. In the black desert, there's the black gas, does a little more damage than the white gas, which is found in the Ashlands. Which is kind of weird. The Ashlands being the end game zone, you'd think it would just have the most damaging of everything, but no, actually. Its gas is weaker than the black desert. So this formula here, these formulas, you can see there's one here and over here. This is basically a formula for how much damage you take in these weathers. You take this damage every 3 minutes, so it can be pretty deadly. Acid rain, you take your acid protection. This will be a number out of 100, with each part of your armor potentially contributing to it. Or you're a hiver and you're just immune, or a skeleton. Basically, you take that final number, divide by 100, then it's 1 minus that. So yeah, it basically is just like the game. It can give you a percentage reduction of the damage, and that goes for all of these. Another interesting thing got to do with that. The ground in the Black Desert, Deadlands, and the Iron Valleys is actually acidic and will deal damage to both your legs as though they were being struck by acid rain. This effect is negated if you are wearing any kind of footwear or have 100% acid protection. I actually didn't even know this before doing the research for this game. I've been to the Black Desert, Deadlands, and Iron Valleys. I didn't even notice at the time. But if you do run through them barefoot, you actually take acid damage. I had no idea. The next thing I added is encounters. While traveling through the world of Kenshi, you are bound to encounter various different people and situations. Every day when you travel, you roll a d20, which determines what exactly happens, or what exactly you stumble upon. You then roll a d8 to see how many hours into the journey the encounter happens, but if you roll something on your d8 that's longer than the actual trip you're taking, then you don't have an encounter at all. So for example, if you're going to be traveling for 6 hours, and you roll a 7 on the d8, then you don't get an encounter. If you were to roll a 5, then you would get that encounter 5 hours into that trip. And if you travel for more than 8 hours, then you roll a second d8 after the first time has elapsed. So it's kind of a unique encounter system. If you travel for 8 hours or more, you will get an encounter, but for short trips, you won't always get one, which I thought was kind of interesting. So you roll a d20 for your encounter, and all of these are fairly basic, so they can fit for really any region. d20 local bandits, the nearest faction with d100 members in tow. It's a very scary one. d20 starving bandits, d20 slavers, d10 escaped slaves, d20 nomads, animal traders, hive traders, traders guild traders, adventurers or wanderers, tech hunters, a unique recruit. And unique recruits can be a character that you have a backstory for, or it could be one that's already in the game, maybe like Beep or one of the other unique, very famous recruits. D12 outlaws from the local faction, expedition from a more distant faction, herbivorous animals, carnivorous animals, an independent town, bar, or store being worked by D100 people, a recently concluded battle full of loot, D20 mercenaries or retainers. And basically the difference between mercenaries and retainers is mercenaries work on a contract. Retainers, they're fully hired by someone long term. So they don't just stop working for them when a certain period has elapsed. They're in it for the long haul. So the difference you can think about with this, a mercenary, you pay for a certain job. A retainer you bring on and they'll probably serve you your whole life. I have completed a character sheet and a settlement sheet for the game. But before we get into those, I just have a few more things to show you. So I'm going to get on to those. We can get to the exciting stuff. So I've added a water mechanic here for farming. Basically, I used math with the maximum farm sizes in Kenshi to figure out how much each plant would need of water per day in the Kenshi world. So you can see cactus for every 32 plants needs 1 barrel of water per day. Cotton per barrel of water can support 12 plants for a day. For green fruit, 10 plants. Hemp, also 10 plants. Rice weed, 8 plants. Wheat straw, 25. And these are all based on real numbers for the game. But, you know, if this doesn't seem right to you, you could alter them if you want. And if I've done something wrong, please let me know. If the proper amount of water is not supplied, the DC to harvest plants from the farm is increased from 10 to 20. And this will basically just halve the amount of harvestable product you can get from the farm. So it's pretty devastating. I've also added a list of bounties to the game. So Kenshi doesn't really have a main story, but If it does, then these are the main story. The bounties basically represent which enemies everybody's after, who the important characters of this world are. And so I have them listed here by strength and also by payout. The by strength thing is like pretty much by stats and kind of just what the community agrees is true in lore. Of course, Catlon is at the top, Bugmaster, Tin Fist. But like some of the placements here, you could agree or disagree. This isn't just based on personal strength, like individual strength. It can also be you have like a big army or some other kind of advantage. And then the payout thing, that's just, how it works. The payout one might seem like the most straightforward, but actually you can still disagree with this list a little bit. There's like Sand Ninja Oni, where they pay you twice for him for some reason, even though his bounty is only 10,000, because he's wanted by 2 factions that use the same legal system. You actually get paid twice. So there is some like weird stuff about that where you could disagree about amounts. Some of them also, like the Yabuta Chief, if I can find him here, have variable amounts in the game's code. So yeah, there's a little bit of wiggle room here, but this is generally what they will pay out. Also, sometimes the bounties are wrong. They just list the wrong amount in the game. I have a theory that this is because, like, since being put up, the poster, like the wanted poster, since being put up, the bounty's gone up. But who really knows? And finally, the biggest thing, an update I wanted to show you, are the character sheets. So here is the main one. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see the whole thing. Here's the character sheet in all its glory. You got your name, your sex, your start, just kind of like your background in other role-playing games, your hunger and your thirst, which are usually tracked by the DM in this game, but some people will want to track it themselves, so I thought I would put it on the sheet. Running speed, swimming speed, your race, and the traits that come with it, any faction relationships that you have. You got the health for each of your limbs, your carry weight, conveniently next to your inventory, your skills down here, and you'll just be writing your level in each skill to the right of it. And there's also an explained version right here that you can kind of see where everything is supposed to go, and it also explains everything a little more for your players, or if you need more clarification on things. There's also some things for how to denote if you've got a robotic limb or whatever. I was pretty happy with actually how the character sheet turned out. And then finally, we've got the settlement sheet here. And this is basically how you can record your settlement that you build if you choose to build one in the game. So you've got a section here for buildings. You've got a power section. I'm just going to have it ignore this. Don't mind that blue line. You got the name of the settlement itself, the power here. You can use this to determine if you can have all of your machines running, or what the situation is with that. We got your tech level over here, and all the technologies that you've unlocked will go below here on the right. And then under technology, you've got tech level 1. Everyone starts with this technology, so you'll never have a character who won't know this. You've got residents, you can put who lives here, also slaves for some settlements. This will just be one section, unfortunately. And then I end off the book here with just this little paragraph that I'd like to read about dying in the game. If you're killed, no big deal. Just try again. If you are incapacitated and there are no allies available to help you, your enemies will claim their due. If your gear is better than theirs, they'll trade it for yours. They won't keep their old stuff since it usually isn't worth the extra weight. If they're hungry, they'll take your food. The one thing they'll always take are your cats. There are few in the world of Kenshi who will leave you with your money. Animals will eat your food if it's the kind of food they prefer. If they eat all your food and are still hungry, they'll begin eating your limbs if they're carnivorous. Animals always prioritize eating your arms and legs before the head or torso. You may get lucky, and they're full by the time they've eaten only one leg. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. This actually will be my last update video to the system. The next one will be the final video. I'm going to go through the whole thing, explain how it all works. I'm probably going to have an example play of how to run the game and how it kind of looks like, how it all plays out. This document will be available. I'm going to link it in the description. It may be in a Google Drive, or I may host it on a website. I'm just not sure yet, but it'll be there in some form. But yeah, next video will be the final system. I'm going to put in whatever martial arts stuff I decide to do. Other than that, though, this is probably pretty close to the final version of the system. So that's pretty exciting. That video will come out when it comes out. If you're anxious to see that, subscribe or like the video. And thank you so much for watching.